Hello everybody, this is Aftershave here. I'm back into the video. Hope this finds you well and in good spirits. So, today we have an exciting day, or at least for me. I remember the last time I shaved off my mustache. I looked super happy. I remember somebody took like a screenshot of my facial reaction after the mustache was off. And I looked like a kid in a candy shop. So we're going to be doing that today, to the joy of many and to the sadness of a couple. But we'll be using the Weck Sextoblade to do that today. And additionally, we will be using green soap. Look at that, it's green soap in a bowl. So this is Dr. Selby, that was previously only available in the country of Uruguay, or Uruguay to be a little more authentic, and they recently started selling it within the US. They have their own separate USA online shop where you can buy it. I'll try to remember to leave a link to that. And then you can also buy the soap and the actual shaving cream. You can buy it from vendors like Maggard Razors here in the US. A number of YouTubers have already received promotional tubs from Dr. Selby, and I thought it would be useful to provide my context on the soap because I've had the sample for quite some time. I've had time to see how the American opinion of the soap has changed a little bit, and so I'll be happy to share that with you in a little bit. We're going to be using a Chatillon Looks Aftershave today because why not? And before I forget, congratulations to Jason, who is the winner of the Slim Adjustable. I left Jason a comment. Hopefully he will have seen it. And so Jason, if you're seeing this anyway, just email me your address and I'll get it shipped off to you in no time. Right, so let's start lathering the soap. We're using the Yaqi Rainbow Synthetic, which I always try to use if I'm evaluating a new soap. Yeah, nothing like a good synthetic. So what's there to say about Dr. Selby? Well, they're definitely a commercial soap. It seems to be a vegan formulation. Previously, it was very difficult to get into the US. The person who was the main proponent of this soap in 2017-18 was Michael Friedberg here on YouTube. And he just really enjoyed the container, which that's really the best part about this soap, is it comes in this very cool kind of kitschy looking soap jar, and it's filled to the brim with this very green firm soap. And so I remember in 2020 when some of us were going through some dark times, I sent an email to Dr. Selby. I seem to remember I sent them the email in Spanish as to appear most authentic and perhaps most comfortable for them to respond back. Saying basically, is there any way that I could get this sent up to the US? I would be happy to, pay the appropriate shipping costs if you're willing to send it up. And they said basically, no, we're not interested in selling in the US right now. Check back later, kind of thing. And then lo and behold, like maybe a month ago now, I was shocked to see that Maggard Razors received a shipment of the soap and also the cream. It doesn't seem like you can get the actual aftershaves anywhere here in the US yet, but make a trip to Uruguay and go to a pharmacy and maybe you'll find it. And yeah, as far as I understand, this soap has sold really well for Maggard. Just to give you an idea of what it's looking like here, it's looking pretty wet and not too bubbly. And let's start with this, why don't we? The scent is supposed to be kind of like a clean lavender thing. It's not offensive in the slightest. It's not super strong either. It's kind of exactly what you would expect for a commercial soap. So keep that in mind. And let's go ahead and start building our face lather here. I realized I failed to mention the weather here in Chicago in my last video. because I was too busy talking about weather in other countries. And how am I going to do this? Almost forgot about this clearing the lips thing. Anyway, the weather here, it's been very mild. We had that one like Arctic event a couple days before Christmas where we received maybe 4, 5, 6 inches of snow. The temperature dropped to 0 Fahrenheit, and then it bounced right back up. I think within a week it was back up to maybe 50 degrees Fahrenheit, something like that. And in true Midwest, in true Chicago fashion, I had multiple clients this week tell me as I was sort of walking out the door, they said to me, one of them said, "Are we ever going to get any snow?" because it hasn't snowed. And the other one said, "So is winter over now?" Which is to say that they're not very impressed with what this winter has been dealing. To be fair, I think this week it is going to get slightly colder. The high each day this week is like not even freezing. So we'll see if that is enough to impress them. We're just going to keep adding a little water here. It's a pretty easy soap to work with, even by commercial standards. There are, to put it in perspective, there are artisan soaps and certainly commercial soaps that I've used in recent memory that either were more difficult to work with than this or had a more offensive smell. So it's kind of a safe choice, you know. I just wouldn't recommend for people who have dozens and dozens of soap, as I do. I don't think you really get this for the scent or the amazing performance. You get it because it's a cool soap from a Latin American country, and because you can get the jar. I'm probably missing out on the experience only having that sample. Okay, let's start with this. I lather everywhere. Fortunately, we're just going to do 2 passes today, and that might save us a little time on the back end. Okay, let's dry our hands a little bit before we wield this Weck. And then let's check the sideburns. And they look reasonable. Yeah, let's go with that. Okay, so here we are with the Weck Sextoblade. This Kismet blade inside of it has a bunch of uses. I've never changed it. So at least a couple dozen shaves, if not 30, something like that. These blades really smooth out. And I will amend what I've said about some of these open blades before, in that this is probably my favorite single pass razor. So I just had to do 1 pass with a razor. This one is fantastic. I love the kind of audio feedback that it provides. It's noisy, but not too noisy, you know? And it is smoother than probably any straight razor I've tried. Those always just have a little bit more resistance, and it definitely could be my technique. I'm not discounting that. However, this one just feels the best. Okay, here we go for the mustache. Okay, that's a chunk out right there. I'll remind people that when you do this, when you take off a big amount of facial hair, try not to push, even if the hair is kind of pulling against you, tugging against you. Just go really easy like that. And especially with a razor like this, I mean, it'll really... I forgot about the joy of getting under the nose. What was I saying? Right. You don't need some sort of magic crazy razor to shave off a beard or mustache. Is it easier with something like this because it just mows through hair? Probably. But if you use too much pressure, if you use too much pressure, I might think that you'd prefer a safety razor. Okay, great. Wow. There's that authentic smile. I'm going to rinse and come back and do one more pass. Stay tuned. Pass 2 with Dr. Selby. Okay, let's go second pass against the grain. We'll start right hand on the left side. Feels very smooth. And what's new with everybody else? I'm sure I mentioned on here before that, well, maybe I haven't because somebody was surprised to hear this the other day. These first 2 months of the year are very slow for performing musicians, at least here, because it's just cold and people stay home, hibernate a little bit. And so that even if, you know, there were a bunch of indoor venues that wanted to have music, they're just not going to because they know that most people aren't going to come out when it's, you know, 20 degrees and windy. And I'm not saying that there's nothing going on right now, but most of the lucrative opportunities are on hold until at least March or so. And yeah, it's been interesting trying to figure out what to do with my time, especially on the weekends when most of those gigs would be happening. Yeah, so what are you all up to? Is your work any slower at the start of the year? I think this year it was especially sort of surprising because I was working all up until the 22nd of December, and then I went and did Christmas in California, and then came back, worked a New Year's gig here, then did Switzerland, and then now stuff is kind of calming down, you know. worried that I may have forgotten how to shave my upper lip. Okay, we're going to call that good. I'm going to do my final rinse and come back and talk to you over aftershave in just a moment. For what it's worth, it seemed like the soap rinsed pretty easily. Wasn't difficult getting it off or anything. Let's use the Chatillon Looks Unconditional Surrender aftershave. And this is a scent I've sort of returned to this week. I wore this thing a lot in 2019. I have the whole set of it. In that, I got the soap, got this aftershave, both of which were gifted by some kind people, and then I did buy the eau de toilette, so I have a full-size one of those as well, and though I've used that bottle a good amount, doesn't seem like it's going away anytime soon. So you can still get this scent from, well, I'm not actually sure. I think you can still get it from the Declaration Grooming collaboration deal, but I think so. Okay, so there's that nice little kick of menthol in the winter, and I just did get 2 little small weepers here. I think those will close up in a little time, and I definitely don't blame it on the razor. I blame it on my lack of shaving this area. Here's the Weck Sextoblade. Lovely razor for doing lots of sorts of things. We used the Dr. Selby. You know, pretty good commercial soap. You could do far, far worse. My only maybe issue with it is that if you're buying it here in the US, and I guess really it seems like anywhere outside of Uruguay and the neighboring countries, like if you buy it here, it's $15, $17. So I guess it's kind of like buying tobacco in that way, in terms of it's a commercial soap, but it's not cheap. But this doesn't have the scent that tobacco does. So maybe that's my only gripe with this. You do get the jar. It's going to last you a long time. Yeah, I guess there's that to think of too. You can't compare this necessarily to like a tube of commercial shaving cream because this is going to last much longer. Okay, maybe it's worth it, but keep in mind, you can probably buy this for, I don't know, half the price if you were actually in the country where it's made. So you have to keep in mind the sort of import fees that are associated with that. And then the Yaqi Rainbow Synthetic. All right. Thank you all so much for tuning in for my little weird mustache thing and listening to me gab on. So for now, this has been HD Shaves. Take care. I'll see you again next time. Goodbye.